Morning carpers, it's 10:19 on Wednesday the 30th of March. Got down here yesterday afternoon. Drove into an empty car park and I was like, this is bliss. Not a single soul or boat or anything in sight. I first went up to the furthest east end point, west end point of the lake car park up there. Stood up there and for a little bit and watched the water, and there was nothing happening, which was expected really. The wind was blowing in there, so we're obviously in autumn there, so it's chilling down big time. So I thought, right, I'll go to the other car park, set up, and then row down or watch the water from that end, so mid-water or mid-section, and then make my way down to the east end, which I knew would be, the back of the wind. So I got down here, sat in the boat, and sure enough, a fish showed, which is not a regular occurrence on here. So chucked a shot out there. Got the odd liner, but nothing. Anyway, decided to pitch up there for the night. And I've only ever fished this side of the bank once. And I got no idea why I didn't jump onto it any sooner. I think, if anything, my fear was because it was like the main sort of... I've observed like canoeists and boatists, and they hug this margin more than they do the other margin, and so the reason I didn't fish it was just because of that. But I thought, oh, fish just topped. Oh. Yep, definitely. That's a marker for tonight, actually, because that is offset to the snag. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, so I fished it once, and I didn't record it or anything, but this was about 5 weeks ago, I reckon. Maybe 6 or 7. Actually, no, not 7. It would be about 12 weeks ago, I reckon. Anyway, it's almost like fishing a point from this swim, and the amount of water you've got is unbelievable. All right, to my left, I've got the left-hand rod in a recess in the lilies. Weeks ago, when I fished down this end, I put some bait in there when I started. Didn't fish it, and when I packed up and rowed back, I checked the spot, and 2/3, or literally all of the bait was nearly gone. So I know that fish move along that margin. Middle rod, well, you know that swim, but I'm fishing it head on, and that is the big fish hangout. Yeah, big fish hangout is one of my favourite spots to put a bait. Blind eyes come out of there. The recapture, which is Goldilocks at 33's come out of there. I've lost fish, seen fish. This angle allows me to actually fish with mono, therefore I can sink the line because I'm at a ledge. I'm not fishing bang up against it, I'm fishing at the bottom sort of bit of the shelf, I suppose you could say. And so therefore the fish is not going to run into the into the I suppose the back of the shelf or the front of the shelf and headbutt itself. It's going to go left to right, so it ain't going to effectively swim up and go into a snag. So I can actually fish slack lines on this. I've actually got back leads on all of these, obviously because of the boat thing. So yep. Now the right hand rod is he's just shy of the drain, but open water, 14 foot, where I saw the fish top last night, basically. So what I did was last night when the fish topped, cast out to where I thought it was, left it for about 2-3 hours, set the other rods up, got those in position, and then what I actually did was I reeled that rod in, and then I chucked the marker out to gauge exactly what I was on, and what depth I was fishing. So I was actually fishing at 14 foot. And then what I did was I clipped up, and then what I found was that I was basically, or in that vicinity was some choddy weed, and then a clear harder spot. So what I did was I kept the marker out, and then rode out, and took the hook link off the lead, off the rig, and then led it about so I could see where the hard spot is, and I could then see where the soft spot is, and obviously the marker was there. So I was doing all this around the marker, and then what I did was sprinkled my bait, my 3 offerings, put the hook link back on, drop the lead in, which is I decided to fish the harder spot, just shy of the soft spot. Changed from a chod to what have I done? I've actually started fishing some of those D rigs that Mr. Fairbrass uses. But what I've done is I've actually maintained my, I suppose, hinge stiff link, hinge stiff link, and then done the D rig and fished it flat, if that makes sense. So my usual rig, where I use a hinge link, am I saying that right? Hinge stiff link, yeah. Oh God, tongue twister, can't get me words out. Hinge stiff link, that doesn't sound right. Anyway, rather than fish it flat, change to D rigs. I've been trying those, and the story goes thus far. Right, part of the reason I haven't been blogging is because I've been blanking, and I don't want to just keep giving you blanking videos. But if you've been following my Facebook page, you would have known that I lost that fish when I fished the hole in the lilies. 3 foot round hole in the lilies, dropped the lead, pre-baited the day before, dropped the lead in, dropped the rig in, and then the next morning had the take, and unfortunately my hook link slipped the knot. Now that was the beginning of me using the D rigs. Now I'm going to put that down to a schoolboy error. I always do, pull me knots until they slip, which to me is they've locked, and in the excitement and I suppose the rush of wanting to get that rig in there, I just don't think I checked me knot properly, and so therefore I lost the fish. It could have been the big girl. I like to think it was the big girl because that's where I've seen the big girl hang out. Literally pops her head up or basks in that hole, and I pre-baited and I put a rig in and I got a bite, and I couldn't believe it. Gutting, but I'm getting over it. I do tend to think about the 2 big major losses I've had lately. The other one was when I had that hook pull off the pre-baited spot. But what's that saying? What doesn't kill you will make you stronger. Well, I hope so. Anyway, so we're still in bite time, and what I'm deciding to do is definitely going to stay here. I could quite easily row back mid-water to the dugout swim, and and then basically fish the pre-baited spot, and then put my rig back in that hole. But I'm not. Well, I've just seen a fish top to my right, which is all the indication is they're down this end. It's just whereabouts exactly are they, and where do they want to feed. So there you go. On cue. Big fish hang out. See what happens. Anyway, so yeah, that's it. I've got one more night. I mean, I'd say we're definitely in the autumn now. Basically, what is it? Just check the weather, just check the temperature stuff. It's definitely overcast, as you can see. It's been dribbling. It looks like there's a lot of slight westerly blowing down. I can just look at the direction of the water and the wind. What is it? It's 10 degrees now. It's set to be 19. I doubt if it's going to make that. No chance. No, it's southeasterly, but it just looks like just like shuffled down this way. 1020 on the old barometer. But anyway, let's see what happens. Speak to you in a minute. Here you go. Thought I'll just show you the two rigs. The bottom one being the D rig is the new one, and the top one is the old one. But don't get me wrong, it's not been shelved. It's the one rig that's caught me all the fish on this lake, so I'm no way going to abandon it. But I think it's obvious to see the possible benefits of the new one, and that's how it sits with me basically in relation to, you can just see that curve, and it is a curved shanked hook as well. For me, a stiff rig on this lake is it's got to be. I mean, the ninjas, the eels and the crays are just an absolute nuisance. I've posted some photos of rigs that have come back where I've literally done a combi link, and they've managed to even twist the short section on the braid to the combi, and it's just, nah, forget it. So I've just all stiff 100% all the way. I'll just find the right spots to fish the rig, present the bait, job done. If not, it's a chod. That's it for me, pure and simple. I'm giving it a go. Unfortunately, the knot there slipped on the first time I used it, literally the very first time I used it in that hole after what I thought was the whacker, and the 4-turn blood knot slips. I cannot begin to tell you how gutted I was and still am. But you got to be in it to win it. And I suppose, I don't know, some of you might be asking, well, why the hinge section? Well, number of reasons really, I suppose, for me. One is just the way that a hinge works, and then having this shortened section off the hinge. I mean, I suppose, we all worry about a stiff boom and how that reacts over chod and so on and so forth. Well, if you can imagine a little bit of chod in the middle there, the rig's still fishing. Do you know what I mean? It's you've got this allowance here for the rig to, still enable you to be fishing. Also, I mean, that is a size 2. It is sharpened, the hook point, and as well, if you can imagine when that fish picks it up, just how that sort of pendulum thing works with that lead.
you know, and that fish is shaking. You know, it almost can have a opposite thing effect. I don't know, I'm just saying that. Fish is one way, it's swinging, you know, and then boom, that fish bolts, bang. You know, in my head, that's how I'm seeing that rig working. And, you know, it's the same with the top one. Weren't a Cove Shane Cook, but it caught me all the thing. But the only way, I mean, I can still fish this. I mean, I was fishing this so it was like sat like that with a pop-up. Alright, so the pop-up's just having the hook point just touching the, you know, the base. Well, with this one, I'm doing it so that it's sat flat like that. And then I suppose, you know, I can fish it like that as well. So, you know, the first time I used it, the first time I hook a fish, not slipped, my fault. Rig works as far as I'm concerned. Morning. It's Thursday the 31st of March and it's 7:28. I've been up since Sparrow's Fart, just looking for signs, but nothing. It's flat calm. Even looking down to the west end of the lake, you can't see a ripple. So it's just flat calm and a little bit of mist just gliding across the surface of the lake. Quiet night as well, not a sound, not a beat, not a single thing. We always hate that feeling when light breaks through and you sort of, you know, you get that feeling that there's nothing's happening during the night, and you almost say to yourself, well, is it going to happen in the morning? This lake is like one of the seventh wonders of the world to me. Got no bloody idea. A challenge and a half. Well, I've got a few more hours anyway. I think I'll be off about 11. Yeah, 11 or 12 I'll be off. Let's see what's left in store. Okay, what's that? Got about an hour to go before I pack up. It's looking like it's going to be a blank. But I thought I'd show you something. This is what I'm up against. Shrimp. Literally, I was cleaning down the boat, getting all the salty stuff off of it. And I was just scooping up some water into the bucket, and then I noticed on one scoop that I had a shrimp in there. And as I kept scooping to sort of wash down the boat, I realised that if I actually skimmed the bucket across the surface, but just below a lily pad leaf, I'd actually yield much more shrimp, which then made me realise that the shrimp are beneath the lily pad leaves, but up against them, possibly for camouflage, hence why they're almost like translucent. And it then also sprung to mind that sucking noise that I hear at night. And it's basically, and it can only be fish or even carp coming into the lilies, stealth-like, and then just literally sucking away. You don't really hear any sort of splashing or whatever, because I would imagine that will spook fish. Shrimp. But yeah, they're just basically sucking away. So, you know, that was not, 10-15 minutes worth of just bit of pleasure. But there you go, a bucket full of shrimp. So another sort of piece in the jigsaw. You know, do I create a zig, three-liner zig underneath a lily pad at night? You know, there's a shop near me that does these fake kind of shrimp-like yabby thingies. So I'll go back and have a look at those, because they're things that you can just hook onto your hook, because they're kind of like rubber, plastic or rubber. So many more things to think about. They're interesting little buggers. I can see why the carp love them.